because the whole point of this is I want to get your stories out. Because there's so many people that have had these amazing life-changing things happen. And I think it's all over the place, you know? And so I think it'd be really cool to just have like a bunch of places where we can, you know, just share what's happened to us. That's all we got to do. That's, you know, everybody's always about the science and everything else. Like, just share your story. Just tell what happened to you. Oh, let me mute that. I don't know how to do that. Oh, she did it. Okay, so yeah, so go ahead and mute yourself if you're not talking. And I'm going to go ahead and start with George because George has an amazing story. So George, tell us what happened with you with and what you ate before, and then tell us a little bit about what happened with you.
All right. Well, I appreciate you letting me set this off.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I grew up on very much the standard American diet, and it was about as nasty as it came because I grew up on Long Island. A cornucopia of bagels and pizza and Chinese food and pasta and, you know, all of that other stuff. The gluteomorphines and the A1 pasteurized casein, which is like a double opiate hit. But around, I think age 20, it was age 20 I was when I got my first label of schizoaffective, which persisted for a good 10 or 11 years. But at 24, I was diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy. At 29, I got Lyme disease. Like when I got the Lyme disease, I lost 25 pounds in 2 weeks. It was brutal. I had a deer tick in my back for, I think, 20 hours before it got pulled out. And the bullseye came up on my arm real big the next day. And I ended up getting better from that, but I didn't, like, I was eating kind of keto back then, but I was still eating bread. And then a few years later, actually, no, it was like the same summer as the Lyme. I ended up in jail for a bit because of being a wacko, but I didn't really do anything. It was like true My Cousin Vinny type stuff.
Yeah.
And I was doing a lot of psychedelics, so I was running away from shadow people, which led me all the way down to Alabama, which is where I got arrested and spent 20 days in jail. And that's where I detoxed from 4 years of benzos cold turkey, and it was not fun. And when you're in jail, and I was on a lot of LSD when that happened, like a copious amount, a god dose, if you will. And it was like Clockwork Orange, and with the commercials on the TV to things like Taco Bell and IHOP. So when I did get out, I was on a pretty much a junk food bender for the next year and change until the fall of 2019. I was working at True Green doing lawns. I was aerating and seeding lawns, and I had my act relatively together then. But after 5 weeks on that job, I had I was getting my teeth fixed, so I got cavities filled, and then a root canal was the last step. I had that root canal done, halfway done. It's still not finished over 2 years later, but I get that done, and I felt this pressure in my ear like building up, and it got really intense over like a week. And my first thought was that my ear had like wax clogged, because I went to an urgent care like 4 weeks earlier with a clogged ear, and they drained it and a bunch of wax came out. I felt better immediately. I went back to urgent care. They didn't see any wax, and I just started thinking, oh no, what is this? And after a week, I had vertigo that was equal to drunk spins, and that lasted for 2 months. I had the nausea, vomiting, atoxic gait to go with it.
Good.
My
grief.
my nystagmus was so severe. My physician's first impression was that I had a brain tumor. Well, after he ruled out, because I was tested again for Lyme, which I came up negative, so we ruled that out. But first, I went to an ear, nose, throat doctor, and it took, I think, 7 weeks before I finally got an MRI of the brain, which revealed it to be more than 50% covered in white and gray matter.
Wow.
At
So
which,
that's how, because of all of that, that's how you got the diagnosis of MS.
yeah. So when my neurologist pulled up that MRI, he's like, "You need to go to the hospital immediately and get 5 days of intravenous steroids." And I mean, I was in such bad shape at the time. My girlfriend then, she had to drive me to every doctor. She had to fill out every form because I couldn't, my eyesight was 60% out in both eyes. I was deaf in my right ear. I mean, my hearing's mostly back in my right ear, but there's no tinnitus anymore, thankfully. And so I think after 2 days of the IV steroids was when my vision came back enough that I could read the read what was on all the walls and all that writing. But for a year after that, I didn't get better, but I didn't get worse. I made the mistake of trying two different biologics, the first of which was Ocrevus, which they advertise on TV. I got that, and then for the next 6 months, I was completely incapacitated. Against my better judgment, I gave rituximab a try after that. And in that year, I also had two other courses of IV steroids. I was on oral prednisone for 5 months. I was back on a benzo because of the vertigo. And so after I got laid out by the rituximab, I started digging into the whole, because I did modify my diet after I got sick. I cut out things like gluten, pasteurized.
Really?
Yeah, but following suggestions of Terry Walls, who says eat like 2 big plates of vegetables a day, I tried doing that. I was eating like giant amounts of spinach. I was putting turmeric and cinnamon powder in my coffee, which I'm thankful to say I no longer consume, but I still dump oxalates, and I've been off them for, it'll be 15 months now on the 30th.
Wow.
And yeah, they're coming out of my knees at the moment, but
Like actual crystals?
yeah. On my Instagram, I do have a picture of one that came out of my scalp, and it's next to a penny for size reference. And
Wow. Like the toxins that were in your body just absolutely baffle me, because you think about just the regular standard American diet, but then the drugs and everything else. I mean, just, you are an absolute miracle. So what, when did you start eating meat?
well, I mean, steak has always been my favorite food, but I never realized I could like live on it. Like I thought that, because most things that sound too good to be true usually are. But when I decided to commit to the carnivore thing, it was at the end of September 2020. My final cheat meal was on September 29th of 2020, and it was a double shack burger from Shake Shack with a side of cheese fries. It was on a gluten-free bun though. and and then the next day, because I had already went to the butcher and got a bunch of stuff like liver, bone marrow bones, and just a bunch of fatty meat. I got oxtails, I got brisket, things like that, and started making my own broths and eating bone marrow. And on the first day of me just trying carnivore, I had never eaten liver in my life, so I figured I'm just gonna like
Go
try
all
this,
in.
go all out with it. Yeah. So on the first morning, the first thing I ate was raw liver. I just cut off a piece of the liver and I cut it up really small, and I was just swallowing it with water. And I remember after doing that for like 2 weeks, I didn't like the taste yet, but I was going to sleep like smiling at the idea of waking up to eating raw liver. And shortly after that, I was eating heart and kidney. And I mean, this morning, I still get down like that. This morning was 2 oysters, a lamb testicle, veal brain, fermented beef liver, and beef kidney, and a big thing of broth and with melted suet in it. And I finished that with a big gulp of sheep kefir, however the hell you
Yeah.
actually pronounce that. It still escapes me. But yeah, so within a month, I was able to like go up and down stairs gingerly again and not lose my balance. And after 2 weeks, my vision had improved to the point that I was no longer wearing prescription glasses.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I just kept on doing it. I kept reintroducing things, but like it was all pretty much animal. Like the first thing I got back into was like raw oysters, then some salmon and salmon roe, then eggs once I could finally get a good source. And yeah, after 6 weeks, I was off the Klonopin, I was off the gabapentin, which was, for the nerve pain with the EMS. And I just came to this place, this state of mind where I could not believe how good I started feeling. And I never wanted to fall off this horse again. My only cheats this last year and change now were one time I went to my old favorite barbecue place around here and got the Texas style brisket, which is just salt and pepper, but like it was grain fed, of course, and the pepper did not feel good. But one time after that, I think this was last spring, my then girlfriend and I, we were visiting a friend of hers in Harrisburg, who's from that area in Pennsylvania, and we went out to a restaurant with her folks, and I got a ribeye steak at this restaurant, a grain-fed one. But it didn't set off any symptoms or anything, but the next morning I lost my temper on the road, which never happens to me anymore. Now I'm always on this positive, happy wavelength where just like nothing phases me anymore. But that one time, like just that one indiscretion was all it really took.
You know what I say? I say that we're the lucky ones.
Yeah.
Because we get a reaction right away.
Yes.
And so we know what works for us and what doesn't work for us. So tell me about your symptoms with schizophrenia. How has that improved?
Oh man. I used to be, the delusions were better and worse like over the years, but it took some time for that to go away. And I didn't know until I went down this carnivore path that schizophrenia used to be called bread madness a century ago.
I saw you post about that one day.
Yeah, it's true. And I have like one chapter left on Weston Price's book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. And he has pictures of all these people from all over the world, and the ones who were all on their ancestral diet, they had beautiful faces and like all their wisdom teeth were in, dental decay was rare to never. And then wherever the white man's sugar and flour went, modern disease would follow. And I lived on those. I lived and almost died on those things. But the schizo, like, to the point I was seeing shadow people.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't understand schizophrenia. So tell us, what was the difference with that you were suffering with schizophrenia then, and what's your life like now?
Well, now I'm not delusional anymore. I don't think people are trying to get me. I don't think license plates are trying to talk to me or the time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's hard to like bring myself back to.
Yeah, don't trigger anything.
Yeah, no, well, it's not going to set me off, but it's just really hard to wrap my head around where my mind used to be.
Yep.
Because it was like I used to think like everything was trying to speak to me in some sort of subliminal fashion. And it's like, no, you're not that important. But the psych drugs always made it worse. I self-medicated this for like a decade on opiates. I shot heroin for like 9 years. I would often mix that with cocaine too.
I'm just so glad you're alive, George. I'm so glad you made it. I'm so glad you're alive.
Yeah, when I talk to Liam at Liam Stops Tinnitus, he's like, it's amazing you're not dead. You have literally sucked the dick of Lucifer. I can't do the Australian accent well, but
yeah.
But he came back from a seemingly impossible place, got really bad food poisoning, had necrosis on all of his extremities, and got well on meat.
Yeah, I'll have to get him on here. Well, thank you so much for telling your story. Is there anything else that you want to add?
Just don't be shy about eating organ meats. That's my advice to pretty much everyone, because I'm always just like, yeah, now that I'm on them, I always feel good. I ate high liver today, which is probably why I'm like,
yeah. High meat, for those of you that don't know, is meat that you put in a jar, like a mason jar, and you put it in the refrigerator raw. And
it's got to be done fresh, though. It can't have been frozen first. It needs to be fresh meat.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
And then you take it out every 3 days, and you take it outside, preferably, and open it up, and then let fresh air, air it out. And then you put it back in the refrigerator, and then you eat it like what, a month, 2 months later?
I think it's the best after 2 months, but like you can let it go indefinitely. Like in the fridge right now, I have thymus, thyroid, testicle that's probably like 4 months old. I have spleen that's like 6 months old. But when I tried eating the fermented spleen, that was brutal. Like liver and heart are the easiest high meats I've done. Brain was kind of rough. I've got some fermented salmon. That's not bad either, but yeah.
I love how you just went from like one extreme to the other. Like you were just like, all right, if we're going to do this, we're going to go all in.
Yeah, that's kind of always been my approach to everything, for better or for worse.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, and you're welcome. Any Saturday you want to come and just like let us know how you're progressing. That's amazing. People don't get over schizophrenia.
No, I mean they can, though. When you heal and seal the gut and provide yourself with the adequate nutrition to rebuild yourself, you can. It's just like with so many diseases, the doctors sell you the sickness as well as their remedies for it. Like it's, as was the case with my MS, and the reason I did hard drugs for as long as I did was because something registered with me that these are less toxic than the Seroquel, than the Trazodone, than the Depakote, I could go on and on. I have, I think, 8 registered allergies to drugs, 4 of which involve anaphylaxis, which are all psych drugs. Zyprexa, Halidol, Cogent, and Geodon.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway,
thank you so much, George. You are such a blessing. I love what you're doing on social media. I love that you're telling your story. I love how crazy you are about this, the high meat and everything, because it opens up the exploration of different ways that you can go with this way of eating. So thank you.
Of course. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
No problem.
And I got to say the same of you. I often show people like, hey, I'm not an anomaly with the MS and the psych stuff. Here's Emily.
That's awesome. All right. Thanks, George.
No doubt, Em.
Jules, you want to, I don't know how to unmute. Can you unmute? There you go. I don't know how to unmute people.
No worries.
Welcome, Jules. What do you have to say?
I just wanted to share my story. You said if we
raise
our hands.
Please.
So I grew up with two very health conscious parents when I was younger. When I was really young, I spent most of the time with my grandparents, and my grandmother was from the South, so we ate a lot of sausage, bacon, and I was very happy. I would tell people I was a sausage-o vegetarian when I was little, because that's all I ate. And then when I moved away from my grandmother and my grandfather with my parents to San Diego, my parents decided to become more health conscious, and they took away all the fatty meats and saturated fats. And I grew up on a diet of potatoes with, I can't believe it's not butter, margarine, pasta without any cheese, pizza without cheese. And I started to get sicker and sicker and just started to balloon up from being a very, skinny, healthy child to starting to put on massive weight. And my parents as well. We were all getting sick. And that continued until about high school, where I was finally free of my parents and able to eat in the canteen. So I would eat hamburgers and lots of, anytime I could. And I felt better. I started to lose weight again and get healthier, eating all that saturated fat. And, but I feel like the damage was already done. By the age of 17, before my last year of high school, I got really sick. I was hit, I had a trigger from my godfather passing away from a heart attack, but it hit me really, really hard. And to the point where I had to drop out of school for a month. And I mean, this was something where I was second in my class. I was really on a college track, and I just couldn't continue. And when I recovered from that in the spring, I went the other direction and became extremely manic. And so this was my first experience with bipolar disorder. I have a diagnosis now of bipolar 1, and it just hit me really hard. I quit school before my senior year and dropped out, leaving everything I worked towards for 3 years previously. Wow. I just left it. And but after I dropped out, when I was in a manic state, I took my GED. I did really well, aced it, graduated, went to community college, but that same pattern continued. I would go from taking 18, 20 units to not functioning, and back and forth, all the way until I reached France, where I got into a master's program, really just by luck. One of the head researchers at the school I was at in political science recommended me for this position. So I had everything in my favor. I was on my way. And this was really like a top tier school. Only the best students in Europe get to go there. And I was doing really well in my midterms. And then again, halfway through my midterms, my brain just stopped. I was getting 19 out of 20 on all my midterms, and then I couldn't remember, the difference between, a parliament and a monarchy. My brain just completely shut down. And so that's when I started to search out doctors and psychiatrists. And that's when I got my first diagnosis of bipolar. And I said, I need to fix this because I have this great opportunity. I can come back next year if this was just a medical reason, but I need help. And they gave me a bunch of drugs, Depakote, Zoloft, and I was taking those, and they were just wreaking havoc on my body. My sleep was destroyed. I started to gain. I went from 180 pounds to gaining 5 pounds a month. My psychiatrist swore to me that it wasn't the Depakote. And then, years later, when I was in the States, they said, oh yeah, Depakote makes you gain weight. So apparently my psychiatrist was a complete idiot. So I ended up never being able to go back into my master's program. I started working. I was doing, again, always between depression and mania. In my manic states, I was always, super performing. I worked for large multinationals, taught marketing to ad executives. I saw a few of my national campaigns across France, but I would always go into these depression spirals where I would just have to withdraw and I couldn't work. And that was on medication. And the medication did not help me at all. All it did was make me feel less aware of my emotions, but I was still all over the place, having high mania and low depression. And after 3 years of medications, I said, this is enough. I can't do this anymore. I feel horrible. I'm still having manic episodes. I'm still suffering from major depression. I need to go try to find something else. And that's when I left Europe. I moved back with my family and my wife, and we tried to find help here. Now, little did I know, the healthcare system here is worse than in Europe, and finding a psychiatrist was almost impossible, let alone one you could talk to when you needed them. And so I joined support groups and just saw kind of the general hopelessness in everyone who was in these support groups, because no one was getting the help they needed. No one was recovering. People had been there for 20 plus years, no improvement. They were just able to barely function at their best. And most would still have severe mood swings. I myself suffered from delusions. At times I would think I was the CEO of Google, or a hedge fund manager, and tell people as such and sign deals and contracts as such and get people to follow me. I was great at getting complete strangers to trust in me and give me their time and money. And these were not dumb people, these were smart people, but they would ask me questions and I could answer. Because in a manic state, my mind's very, very
exactly
fast.
It goes from like one extreme to the other.
And talk about a poker face, I believed everything I was saying. So
I know.
They didn't think I was kidding. And so that lasted for the last 10 years, where I was just going back and forth. And 6 years ago, I had to withdraw completely from public life, from going out, from working, because I had my worst manic episode. I had racked up over $100,000 in debt on credits that I all applied for at the same time, so they wouldn't check each other and know that I was getting all these loans. I bought three cars. I hired a bunch of people from their jobs without actually having more money than 1 month to pay them. I was completely out of my mind.
Yep.
And so that for me was really rock bottom when I came out from that. And the worst thing about delusions is once they stop, you realize what they are.
Mm.
And I just knew, like, oh, not again. It had happened in 2015, and 2016 was my last major psychotic episode. So I had to I said, I can't risk this again. I almost died multiple times, whether getting into fights or almost car accidents, from not sleeping for days and driving and doing things like that. So
you came back from the dead, dude.
Yeah. I had a family. I had 2 daughters, and I was, by some grace, I was not killed, and so I said, I can't risk it a third time. So I stopped everything. I quit my job. I withdrew. I self-isolated in my home just with my family for 6 years. And I found some peace in that, because any stress would be a trigger for me to ramp up or get depressed.
Yep.
I mean, little things I couldn't handle well, so let alone stress of a job or responsibilities. And it was really tough on my family, on my wife, on my kids, but at least I was there. I wasn't putting myself in danger anymore. I welcomed depression more than mania, because depression, I was less likely to do something drastic, as long as it wasn't too low. And I tried to think of negative thoughts for a long time just to keep me down, because I was so terrified of the delusions and mania.
Yeah, and just to like balance yourself out.
Yeah. And at this point, I wasn't taking any medications. The psychiatrists here, if you take medications and you have a problem, they can't see you for a month out, especially when you don't have a job, you don't have private insurance. So that was just too dangerous for me. I knew before my experience with medications, if I couldn't see my psychiatrist in the same week when I was having problems, a month out would be dangerous.
Oh yeah.
And the risk of that is suicide. So, I just kind of found a peace. I accepted that I would be ill the rest of my life. I was never going to recover. And I just thought, okay, this is it. And I did make my peace with that. And I think it was 2 months after I made my peace with that, and I was somewhat happy for the first time in years. I heard about Amber O'Hearn
Amber
in a
O'Hearn.
podcast.
Yeah.
And I went, what? You can.
So how long ago was that?
This was in April, I believe.
Of 2021?
Of 2021.
Shut up.
And so in May, I started the carnivore diet.
Shut up.
I said, I have nothing to risk. I have everything to gain. Why not? I've never heard, out of all my years in support groups for mental illness, I've never heard of one person recovering from bipolar 1. So I got to try it. I don't care what it costs. I don't care what I have to do, but we got to make this change. And I did. And 3 months in, my symptoms were gone.
Stop. That's amazing. So wait, what did you eat, dude? What did you eat?
I just ate whatever beef I could afford. So I would buy the cheapest cuts, roast usually at like Food for Less, and that were like $5 or less per pound, and just eat a bunch of that with butter or homemade bone broth. And I ate that for about 3 months.
Wow. That
And
is
since
so
June,
cool.
I've had 0 symptoms. I'm active again. I've had no red flags, no warnings. I've been able to add a bunch of activities and responsibilities without any downsides. I haven't had a delusional attack or mania. I've slept. My sleep's been perfect.
That's
And
key,
just had
dude. That's key.
No problems.
Because
And
I
those are my
always
warning
knew.
signs. Yeah, sleep.
I always knew if I wasn't sleeping, that's when the mania would come in. And so it's like my little litmus test.
Yeah.
Like, nope, I'm still sleeping 7 hours a night. Nope, I'm still sleeping. I'm not going to lose my mind.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it's still scary. You're still waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Well, every time I felt like this, it's always been because of mania. This is always how hypomania feels like, but I'm not spending a lot of money I don't have. I'm sleeping well. And those were really the 2 largest red flags for me, that I was not in a good place. And I'm not alone in saying this. My psychiatrist agreed with me. My therapist agreed with me. My family had seen it firsthand. They've agreed with me that I'm not the same as before in a hypomanic state. And it's literally just, it just saved my life.
So amazing. That's absolutely amazing. And what's so cool is, so your name is Jules?
Yes.
Jules, what's so cool, Jules, is that the best is yet to come.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even recognize myself now, like compared to me a year ago. Like, it's so cool because, at first I was just so mad that I had this mental illness, that I had bipolar disorder, and that everybody else was all normal and like they could just go through life and everything. But now I realize that it's my superpower once it's managed.
Yeah.
Like once it's managed, it's amazing. It's the most beautiful gift. I love my bipolar disorder. I am grateful for my bipolar disorder, but I got to keep it in check. Like I can't go, eat Christmas cookies and, pies and, that would ruin me. I mean, that would level me for me to do something like that.
Yeah. Same for me.
Man, thank you so much for this story. This was phenomenal. Somebody asked with George how you can find him on social media. I put his IG in the chat. How can people find you, Jules? Or do you not? Do you
I'll put my IG in. I put my IG in chat. It's just at Daddy Carnivore on Instagram.
Awesome. Oh yeah, I know you. And that's so funny because I don't know people by their first name. I know them by their Instagram.
Yeah.
Wow, awesome. So anything else that you want to add? That's amazing, Jules.
Just something, I'm still a facilitator for support groups in my area for people with mental illness, bipolar and depression. And I know there's a lot of people in those groups that need this. And, I started getting back in the group, and I've seen people that haven't seen me in years, and they were just shocked by how I was doing. That they couldn't believe it, because the last time they saw me, I was either in a manic state or completely depressed. And this is the first time they've seen me where I don't seem like either. And really, when you're bipolar, you can tell, you can see in other people the signs. And so far, there's a lot of people that would be so interested in learning more from us. I'm so grateful that you have created this group every Saturday, because that's a key, having
Consistency, yeah.
Yeah. And so thank you for putting this together.
No problem. And yeah, tell anybody that they can come join. I'm going to keep the meeting ID the same so that we can have more consistency. And Jules, I want to encourage you. One of the things that I experienced as I've gone through this, because I've been without a manic or a depressive episode since April of 2019. And the coolest part about this journey was getting to know myself and to like myself, because I let myself down so many times where I would have these awesome ideas and then I would crash. I would do these amazing things and then I wouldn't be able to fulfill my promises. And so I'm excited, Jules, to watch you fall in love with yourself, because you are so worthy and you are so amazing. And the best is absolutely yet to come. I can't wait to hear your story.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much for sharing. Patty, can you unmute yourself, or maybe I can figure it out?
Hi, I was talking with my neighbor, and I'm not like, I don't know, I didn't know this was recorded, so I'm just not too comfortable being on camera.
No problem. That's fine.
Yeah,
you don't need to be on camera.
Yeah, I've been a lifelong vegetarian, and I decided to eat 1 month ago. So I'm 1 month ago, and I started with deer meat, and I didn't had any issues before, but I'm doing fasting, intermittent fasting for a very long time, like this entire year. But with meat, what I started observing, I could go like a 1 meal a day. So like if I eat like one beef burger with just lettuce and cheese, I'll go for 24 hours with just that.
Yeah.
So I liked that part of it. But the thing which I'm struggling, so I tried pork, which is from the grocery store, like the smoked slices, and also what I was gonna say, oh my God, like a little bit pork sausages, and then I tried chicken. Chicken, I liked it. The chicken breast, they tasted like cheese, because I never knew the taste. Like I don't know taste of meat, so that's like the coolest thing I did. What I struggle with, though, I just don't know much of cooking, and I also grew up in a vegetarian family. So it was not religious; it's just how that it is. I started eating eggs this year, and now, like 1 month ago, I started switch to meat. So I would like to learn more about cooking meat and making organ meat. I found a place in the store near me, which is high on organ meat, and I want to try it, but it's just, I think, the cooking temperature, and I don't know if I'm eating raw, because I think sometimes it's red inside. So I don't know if that's it's a good thing or not. So that's just me.
So what have you noticed that you feel? Do you feel differently eating meat versus a lifetime of vegetarianism?
So I feel strength. I feel improved strength. My goal for eating meat was retain my muscle mass. I don't want to lose my muscle when I fast, and I want to keep my iron levels and all the mineral levels high. So that was my goal, and that's something I'm trying to achieve by eating meat. And carnivore is this entire month been a carnivore month, because I'm just I never had meat, so I'm just trying, do I like this, and I just eat it. Do I like this? I eat it. So that's what I'm trying to do. So let's see. But I just found a Facebook group, because eventually what happens, people go to a diet and then it becomes a religion, and I didn't want that. I just want to try, and people who are open to tell me what to eat and what not, just to share the experience, rather than you should do this or otherwise you're a bad person. I didn't want that.
No.
So that's what been everywhere around me. So I'm glad I found a Zoom meetup where actually I can see, actually people sharing their experiences, which is kind of nice place, because I know now, like, at least I would like to know more about cooking meat or trying meat. If I'm eating meat only, I just want to know how to do it very differently. Like, just because it's vegetarian, if I'm vegetarian and vegan, which I never was, but I was vegetarian eating dairy. So there was a little bit bread and a little bit cheese and a little bit eggs, and that's it, and rice. But if I'm just going full carnivore, because I do want to go 24-hour fast in upcoming year, and I just want to know if I'm doing full carnivore, how do I get everything? So that's why I joined this gym chat, because I see people's posts on Facebook, but it's rather if you talk with people in person or like via Zoom, you get to know and understand more. So thank you very much for organizing this. And if there's a messenger group or like a Slack of this, please let us know.
No, I don't have one. This is literally the first meeting, so I might look into figuring that out. Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
But yeah, so far I think it's been going well. I think I just don't know much about cooking meat, but I'm trying, and I think my body just don't know how to digest it. So I think my gut microbe has been changed, because I think with chicken or anything, I just didn't feel anything. Like my body didn't have any time digesting it. So more I bake it, like I'm baking it. I'm not frying it. I'm not doing anything. All I'm doing is baking it. And the baking is kind of improving. I don't know. I don't have trouble in digestion. I haven't had steak or anything, but ground format of meat was easy to absorb rather than like chunk. So that's so far, because I never had meat.
That's amazing. I love your story. This is so cool. And so are you on Instagram?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so find me on Instagram at Carnivore Minds and message me, and I'm going to give you so many people to follow, because there's some amazing stories out there. There's some phenomenal YouTube channels, like friends of mine or just other fellow carnivores, and we're going to get you cooking.
Okay, thank you. And also, I just want to ask you guys, like the sausages which we get in the grocery store, are they means what I'm trying to avoid is corn or any fillers. So are they is that particular brand, or is what you guys look for when you go for sausages?
For me personally, I just look at the ingredients, and I try and keep it as simple as possible. Ray, do you have anything that you would say for looking for good sausage?
I don't trust sausages personally, but because of the fillers. But you're absolutely right, Patty. You figured that out. But I mean, Justin, you got a little tip on that sausages? Because I think you might eat.
I just put in the chat. So when it comes to any of this, what to eat, what not to eat, all this stuff, it usually just falls into two different things, and that's is sensitivity and price, right? And so it kind of just depends on, you're used to eating a bunch of vegetables and stuff like that. And so probably, the little bit of sugar in some sausage or the spices and stuff, probably not really going to mess with you, since your body, it's still better than what you were doing before. So your body's just going to absorb the nutrients and poop out or process everything else out, basically. And the amount of sugar typically in these bacon or sausage things, unless it's like maple bacon or maple sausage or something like that has extra sugar. But if it says like 1 gram, 2 gram, something like that, you're typically all right. Most people don't mess with it. It doesn't mess with me. I can have the bacon straight from the store. I'm totally fine. So yeah, again, it's just, so you're started a month in, and so obviously the best way would be to start as clean as you could. So doing your ground beef, staying away from anything processed. So typically I recommend people stay away from the bacon and the sausages and things like that, just because they're more processed, have more spices added to them. So if you can go straight to straight meat, you know, find yourself a nice cut of meat that you like. You might like New York, you might like a ribeye, you might like ground beef, and just throw salt on it. Cook it till, you know, it looks good. Like I said in the chat, also get yourself a meat thermometer. Pretty much you just got to cook till safe. That's the only thing. You like it rare, you like it medium rare, you like it well done. That's all good. And just chow down, do that for a few months, get your body acclimated, and then try to throw the sausages or something like that back in and see if you react. Now, that would be the absolute best way to go about this, but right now you're trying to get used to the mental, the emotional, the social of eating carnivore. And so, hey man, if sausages are palatable to you and you can just chow them down on them, no problem, all good. It's probably doing you more good than bad. You know what I mean? Compared to vegetables or other choices, carbohydrates, etc. So there is no exact boom, 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 boom of how to do this. Everyone does carnivore a little bit differently. Some of us have dairy, some of us don't. Raymond oftentimes does stints of ribeye only. Emily does a bunch of raw, mostly raw or all raw. And so you just it's just going to take some exploration to find your groove. I think some general points, I would recommend you eating more than once a day, especially in the beginning. I know, you know, I don't know what your height and weight is and what your goals are. And like Em said, you're going to get in touch with her, which means you're going to get in touch with me. You're going to get in touch with Ray. A few of us other ones here, and we can help guide you, but you're definitely on the right track. If you like sausages, go down with the sausages. It's all good. So that's kind of a little tip.
And I would also like request if you guys can do like Zoom chat about cooking meat, like cooking meat together or having a cookout together. I would greatly appreciate that. At least it will help people like me or people who just had lifelong vegetarians or, you know, we just don't know anything with meat. It will help them. Because at least that's just a suggestion. Anyway, guys, thank you very much.
No, that's great. I mean, if you need something, you ask for it. We'll step up to the plate, dude. We'll step up to the plate. We'll all gather together and have a cooking, Zoom. We'll figure it out. But yes, find me on Instagram. I'm glad you put that you are Nomad Ambitions. On Instagram so that I'll know that that's you. And thank you so much for sharing, even though you didn't want to share your video. I love that you told us your story. This is amazing.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
So just to my point a little bit. So my sister got me this wild salmon, and there is a little bit of sugar in it. I think it's just like a preservative or whatever. It's from Seattle. From the Pike Place Market, for those that are Washington and know about there. And yeah, so last time I had this, which was a year and a half ago, I reacted and was getting a little bit of headaches, but I think I was still healing. So now I'm going to try it again and see if I can eat it without headaches. And now that I'm more healed and stuff like that. So I should do better with it. So again, over time, most of us can throw a little bit more on that edge, you know, a little bit of something, and we won't really mess with us in moderation. However, of course, that's a different conversation, moderation versus abstinence, but we won't go there this meeting. I am. Merry Christmas to everyone.
Merry Christmas. Awesome. Thanks, Dustin, for jumping in. Thanks, Ray, for jumping in. For those of you guys that don't know, Ray and Justin and Emily Harvo, and there's a lot of people on this call that they have been carnivores for years, and they are so I might just like throw in and just have them answer a question every once in a while if they're here. Karen, what's up?
Hey, how you doing? I have lots of problems in my audio if I'm on my computer, and I have to have my phone for my audio, and it works sometimes, it doesn't others. Anyway, Merry Christmas, everybody. I've been carnivore for 2 years, and I just got to say, there were all these guys talking. I'm like, you know what? I got to throw in a female. That's why I raised my hand. But yeah. But my why is inflammation. I had a lot of achy joints for years and years and years, and even just sleeping, it would bother me. My shoulders, my hips. To sleep, I'd get a crappy night's sleep, and I don't have a crappy night's sleep anymore because my inflammation's gone. And I'm pretty active. I play pickleball, bike, hikes, kayak, snowshoe, and
And how young are you?
Thank you. I'm 62 years young. So
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, thanks. I just feel good. I'm making my first rib roast right now, my first ever. I usually cut them up and make steaks, but that's why I keep on jumping up, checking it out. I've got people coming in a couple hours, so I wasn't sure if I could jump on. I have enough stuff done. I said, I'm going to hop on here. So that's kind of cool. Let me show you what I was making when I was first talking to you guys. I make confetti eggs. So I get an egg and I dump it out and I use my egg. Then I wash it and dry it. Then I painted them or dyed them or whatever. So now I'm giving these to the kids as a little countdown till New Year's Day.
Oh my gosh.
It's like a Hershey Kiss or some money. I give a little candy. And then I like to crack them over the head. I have it in my highlights when I made them Easter time. But I've done these for various things. Even my son and daughter-in-law, when they had the first child, I gave them blue and pink ones, and they put pink confetti in it. We all crushed them and found out that. Anyway, just that has nothing to do with eating meat, but it has to do with eating eggs.
It does. And I loved your gingerbread houses this year.
Oh, thank you.
My goodness, you guys. She had these gingerbread houses and was so cool. She had a cardboard house wrapped in plastic, and then she had the kids lay deli meat and cheeses and like pepperoni on them. It was the coolest thing. Karen, how can people find you on social media?
I don't know it by heart. I think it's Karen M. Shoot. Karen,
I got it.
S.Miles.3. That's it. I think that's it.
Karen.S.Miles.3.
Right. I don't know where the 3 came from, but that's what I have. Yeah. Some people call me Karen Smiles because the S is my maiden name.
That's great. That's great.
I recommend anybody, if you have a chance to go to a meetup, go to a meetup. I met Naverka on here. I met Cherish on this group, and I'm going to meet many more this summer at the New Jersey meetup. Carnivore Doctor's going to have one. I'm probably going to have another one in Chicago. I had one in Illinois. But anyway, if you have a chance to go to a meetup, you guys do it. That's what I got. Merry Christmas to you guys. Thanks for holding it. This is great. This is a great turnout too, by the way, Emily.
Yeah, great. Awesome. I know for Christmas Day, I was just going to do a soft start, but hey, if you're here, you want to talk, let's talk.
That's right. Merry Christmas. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Karen. So I want to open it up for anybody else. If you want to tell your story, or if you need some help today, like if you have a question about carnivore, you have a question about, and it doesn't have to be carnivore, it can be keto, it can be just anything breaking this addiction to processed foods. Feel free to raise your hand. If you don't know how to raise your hand, it is in the bottom under reactions, and then you just click raise hand. Claire.
Hello.
Claire, we can't hear you. Oh, sorry, Claire.
Hi, Claire.
How are you?
Good. So glad you came. So you're in France, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Amazing. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that you have fantastic information on your Instagram.
Thank you.
And it's not just about carnivore food, and it's also about grounding, stuff like this. Because of you and thanks to carnivore, I've been practicing a lot lately, and it's so helpful. It comes in the journey to help. And yeah, I'm sure it can help as well for the mental illness and everything. So I encourage everyone to start, eating carnivore for sure, but adding some meditation, grounding.
Oh yeah.
Stuff like this. It changed the life.
It is. So, I mean, what were things like for you before?
In my background, I was suffering of anorexia nervosa for a lot of years.
I'm so sorry.
But it's over because of carnivore.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I've been vegan for 10 years. I've been underweight for 20 years. And I've been on medication for anxiety, depression, sleep, everything. I was taking like tons of them, a lot.
Wow.
And yeah, I died twice. One, the worst was 6 minutes in 2017 because of the pneumonia, because of my underweight. And I started fighting at this time, but I reintroduced meat, but like lean meat, and it was not the point. And I started my very high-fat carnivore diet on 23rd of July. And I healed so much. And
wow.
But very, very high fat.
Yes. I'm a big fat advocate.
Yeah.
I think it's very important for mental and physical health.
Yeah, for me, suet and tallow are quite difficult, but I can eat 6 sticks of butter without any problem. So I'm eating, most of the fat I'm eating is from butter. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, I've been scared of fat my whole life. And now it's my day-to-day medicine.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
So I'm out of all medication. I don't have anxiety anymore. If sometimes I have some stressful situation, I rely on butter, and it helps. I've been speaking a lot as well with Thankful Carnivore through MeterX meeting.
Great.
And he's a fantastic guy, and he helped a lot as
with
well.
I'm sorry, who?
Thankful Carnivore.
Sinful?
Brett.
Oh, Thankful. Brett. Sorry, Brett.
Thankful. Sorry, French accent.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Brett, yeah, he's a good friend of ours.
Thankful. He goes by the Thankful Carnivore. It's so cute. It sounded like it was Sinful Carnivore. We're the opposite.
We got to tell him. He'll like that. He'll laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's amazing. And
yes.
Yeah. So finding in the carnivore space people with mental illness helped me a lot, because I felt not alone. And I saw that, like Jules said before, I was following at the beginning Amber, which is amazing. And I was really, really convinced that carnivore can heal the brain. And sometimes I'm saying to heal the brain, eat brain, but it works.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah, George is a big component of that.
Yeah. And if you're eating the all range of carnivore, you will find all the nutrients that you need to heal. And it's possible. I love everything. I'm eating the full range of carnivore food, everything.
That's amazing to go from anorexia to really releasing that fear of fat. That is so powerful.
Yeah. At the worst point, I was eating 100 calories a day during 6 months.
God.
And it's almost impossible to understand why I survived. But then when I start healing without carnivore, I never top up 1,800 calories a day, but it was really, really rare. It was like maximum 1,500, really maximum, but I didn't heal. And then starting carnivore, I reached some days 10,000 calories a day.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And many people are saying, no, I cannot eat, I cannot feast, I cannot eat enough because my stomach is too small, and I don't believe in it. My stomach was the size of, a peanut. But with butter, you can, because it's really easy to just fill your body with butter. Like with yolks, raw yolks help so much because it's liquid and you don't have to be hungry to eat yolks. And it's fantastic fat, and you're healing with this fantastic fat.
That's amazing. Claire, I love your story. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah. And if anyone has any question about eating disorders, they can always reach me.
Yeah. How do we reach you?
I have an IG. I'm at Loli Carney.
Can you type it in the chat?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
And yeah, if they have questions, they can reach out there. And yeah, I can just always approve Coach Raymond saying feast, feast, feast.
Yes,
feast,
yes,
feast.
yes.
Yeah, that's the point.
It is. And I think we were so scared to feast before. And so it's good to get that permission to feast, because everybody thinks diet, I got to restrict. No, feast, but just feast on animal fat and animal meat. Yeah. That's so amazing.
And feast with all kind of meat you just want to, and don't try to do like beef only because someone else does beef only. Don't try to have the same carnivore diet that any other people, because you're unique, and your carnivore diet has to be your own carnivore diet, and that's the most important stuff.
Awesome. Oh, Emily Harbo, is that Claire's?
Yes, it is.
It's a Y. No, it's a Y. I put it in there wrong. It's LOLLY_ Carney.
Yeah, we need a Y.
Yeah.
There, that one.
Exactly.
I don't know if you can even see that.
Yeah.
There
I'm
she
the
is.
one.
There she is. All right. So yeah, so find her, follow her story. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing, Claire.
Thanks for creating this.
Yeah, no problem. Every Saturday we'll be here. And just, encourage people who want to hear,
Yeah.
Anything else that you wanted to add?
No, thank you so much. And Merry Christmas to everyone.
Merry Christmas. Thank you, Claire. So we are at time, but is there anybody else who has a question or who has a story that they want to share? If you don't feel like coming on camera, that's totally fine. But I will be here next Saturday and the next Saturday and the next Saturday. So feel free to jump in anytime you want, just to, talk about meat.